I think that one of the reasons that black women have been so afraid to put their feet down and really stand on business with people is that they feel like they don't deserve to do that. Do you all know how this world would look if black women stood on business with everybody? Do you know the way we would run this show from top to bottom? We would literally be supreme in every way you can imagine. A lot of the times when you think about changing the way that you interact with people, or being so much bolder, or being so much colder, you get that bold, cold, two different words. A lot of the times when you think about doing those things, you hesitate. There's internal resistance because you don't really feel like you deserve to do that, and you know that if you did that, the effects of it would be so shocking and so tremendous. Black women have an insane power to change things. Black women have an insane power just standing alone all by themselves. And you can tell that we were, the original people of this earth, and you can tell that we were the people who brought everybody else up to follow us. And I think something we don't get into enough is the shadow of the way that we see our own power. And that's what I want to talk about. Everything has this shadow where there are thoughts and feelings and emotions and motivations that you don't want to admit to yourself. You spend so much time standing in the quote-unquote light that you can't recognize what's beneath the surface. And what's beneath the surface of a lot of us is that we're really afraid to show the world who we truly are. And we're really and we know that we have so much power that if we truly exercised it thoroughly and completely, everyone would be beneath us, and we're uncomfortable with that. And we're uncomfortable with that because we don't know yet if we deserve that, because thousands of years have gone by with us not living in our power. And so we're unsure. We don't have the credit, a lot of us, to say that this is what I deserve, regardless of if my grandmother did it, if my great-grandmother did it, if my great-great-grandmother did it, regardless of whether this was a privilege that was extended to me in the last 400 years of American history, regardless of if the world understands, regardless of if the world saw that this was a privilege that was afforded to me in the last 200 years, I deserve this thing. Let's talk about money, because money answers all things. So when you think about yourself and you think about being a rich black woman, those words aren't that those three words aren't always associated with each other for the past couple of hundred years, maybe millenniums. And you don't even know a lot of the times when you're thinking about it, well, the people who hold the wealth tend to be men, the people who hold the wealth tend to be white, the people who hold the wealth tend to be this and that. And so sometimes when you're going after these things and you're thinking of who it tends to be, because that's what you've seen in the past centuries, you are not acknowledging that shadow in you that's afraid to see what it looks like for you to live that life. And you're afraid to, and you're refusing to acknowledge that shadow in you that secretly thinks that because you have not proved yourself through your lineage in the past couple of hundred years, that you don't deserve that life. Do you follow me? When you think of yourself, you a black woman, and you picture yourself with a man who sits at the top of the hierarchy amongst males, you don't really think that you deserve that man, because the women before you, they have not had access to those men in traditional ways, and they have not been held up as the quote-unquote beauty standard. And so you don't really feel that you deserve to have them as partners. A lot of black women feel intensely uncomfortable with the concept of them being on top. They feel uncomfortable with the idea of them winning. They feel uncomfortable with the idea of them replacing other women, other people. But don't you feel uncomfortable. Face your shadow. Realize that the antidote to this is that you have to understand that just because you lost power for a couple of centuries, and just because you had to live a certain life for a decade or for a millennium, that can change today. The future can be different. For those of you who felt like, I don't really understand what she's talking about, I want to say it like this. Black women a lot of the times don't think that they deserve to live and have a good life because their grandmothers and their great-grandmothers and the women before them did not have good lives. But they are not your credit. Sometimes when you push into a space, you think, what am I even doing here? Women like me have never been here. Am I trying to act like a white woman? Am I trying to act like an Asian woman? Am I trying to be something that I'm not? Imposter syndrome. But imposter syndrome is that shadow that you don't want to face, that says, oh, you don't deserve to be here because nobody was here before you. So you need to turn around and you need to turn the light on the shadow so the shadow can go away. You deserve everything. You deserve everything you've ever wanted. You deserve every privilege you've ever dreamed of. You deserve to run this planet and have it suited to your tastes. And just because the women before you didn't enjoy what you can enjoy, that doesn't mean that you deserve what you deserve any less.